For many years, Mars colonization has been contemplated. While some find this proposal absurd and impossible, others are in favor of it. Whatever your opinion of the colonization of Mars, there are certain advantages for the human species. In the event of a disaster on Earth, a colony on Mars may assure the survival of the human species. Exploration of space would advance human knowledge and aid in the creation of fresh, unimaginable technologies. The establishment of a colony on Mars will fundamentally alter our way of life and bring about significant changes in every aspect of it, including the economy. Ever wonder what the economic advantages of colonizing another planet might be? If you haven't given it a thought before now, stick with me to the end as I show you some of the economic benefits of colonizing Mars. Ready? Then let's dive in. Production of electricity. For centuries, we've been burning fossil fuels and depleting the Earth. A period of unrestricted resource exploitation from the Earth's resources began as the industry took off. However, Earth's resources are finite, and unless we entirely switch to renewable energy sources, we will eventually exhaust them. Unfortunately, this won't happen anytime soon. The colonization of Mars, however, offers the answer. There are countless resources on Mars, many of which are yet unknown to humans. We could create massive solar panels that would capture solar energy and turn it into electricity using cheap space resources by constructing a space colony. A high-frequency radio beam might be used to carry this electrical energy to the Earth's surface. A specific antenna and rectifier array would be used to receive the beam on Earth and turn it back into electricity. The success rate of such a transfer is predicted to reach up to 90%. As of right now, rovers, landers, and probes are being dispatched to Mars and are powered solely by solar panels. The solar panels used on Mars operate on the same principles as those used on Earth, but they are more protected to function effectively in the hostile Martian environment. Solar energy is captured by solar panels, which subsequently turn it into electricity. Batteries store extra energy to enable them to function without the sun. The issue, however, is that solar panels are mostly employed in the region of Mars' equator, where there is the greatest light, because they would be far less effective and in some cases utterly ineffective elsewhere. Another issue with solar panels in dust storms, which may last for several weeks. They hinder the operation of solar panels and the entry of sunlight onto Mars' surface. Because the dust storm would have been anticipated beforehand and could have been totally averted, none of these issues would be particularly significant in the colonies. Self-sustainability of colonies. It takes the best specialists to establish a colony and eventually set up life on Mars. They would operate as a self-sustaining community, and the colony's first establishment, separate from Earth. Each habitat would be highly independent and self-sufficient. The Mars colony would not be dependent on humans on Earth, but communication and cooperation with Earth would persist. A colony on Mars would eventually develop a way of living that would eliminate the need for regular transit, because transportation would be extremely expensive and hence likely be limited. Basic needs may be satisfied thanks to the production of our food and resources, but people would quickly demand more, and they would start developing new technologies to enhance their habitat and living conditions on Mars. It would be possible to develop space colonies elsewhere in the solar system if they were to successfully construct a colony on Mars and maintain security. Every planet would need adaptation to its specific characteristics, but if we were able to colonize Mars over time, we would be prepared for further ambitious missions, and human curiosity would drive us even further beyond. Affordable agriculture. Large regions of land and vast amounts of water are currently used for agricultural production. To make our crops ideal for sale in supermarkets, we also use a lot of pesticides and chemicals. Producing fruits, vegetables, and cereals costs a lot of money and uses a lot of resources, but the result is food that we can eat. On Mars, food production would be entirely different. Food cannot be grown outside due to high radiation levels and bitter cold. Additionally, Mars' soil contains substances that are exceedingly harmful to humans. It is vital to remove hazardous substances from the soil before planting crops on Mars, which can be done with ease with current technology. Due to the surface climate, greenhouses would likely need to be located underground on Mars. Farms on Mars could be closed-cycle agriculture farms. All trash, including human waste, plants, sweet water, and lost heat, would be recycled on the farm in them. As a result, the price of producing a kilogram of food would drop down from about $1 to $0.1, a huge reduction. If they could create farms like this on Mars, they could use the same technique here and put a stop to world hunger. Expansion of industry and jobs. The scientific station will need routine resupply in the early stages of establishing a colony on Mars, which might be provided by private businesses. Material transfer to Mars is a difficult task that would undoubtedly be profitable, increasing the number of private organizations that would undertake the task. The establishment of a colony requires a significant amount of labor as well. Naturally, before making any significant progress, experts would first travel to Mars to set up the necessary logistics and living space. On Mars, they would probably work in teams and alternate at regular intervals before returning to Earth. Later, however, people might be able to stay on Mars longer. Why not choose to live on Mars forever if you have all the necessities for life and are allowed to work there? Construction of the colony needs labor. To find resources, we need a variety of workers, including biologists, farm workers, chemists, physicists, dietitians, and doctors. Several occupations would be created by the colonization of Mars and a special cycler network allowing people and products to travel between Earth and Mars. Workers will be offered higher wages because of the labor scarcity, possibly higher than those on Earth. High wages will draw people, and more inhabitants will raise the quality of life on Mars. People will desire to work on Mars more and more as time goes on. Technology advancement. Even though we have not yet begun the actual process of colonizing Mars, we are already coming up with fresh ideas for future endeavors. We created a robot that can change carbon dioxide into water. We discovered ways to access water on Mars, and we figured out how to grow food in the face of extreme cold, radiation, and toxic soil. The colonization of Mars will certainly lead to the creation of new technologies. People need to be pushed to think outside the box for them to develop a species, and when they do, they will come up with incredible ideas. The human race will be tested to the limit because colonizing Mars is an incredibly difficult task. To assure human survival on Mars in the early stages of colonization, the most straightforward solutions will be sought after. Humans will advance further and use new technologies to bend the laws of the cosmos in their favor once the necessities of life are assured. All of these technologies will not only make life on Earth better, but they will also make Mars economically prosperous. Achieving well-being. Daily human population expansion is straining our planet, which is already struggling under the weight of that growth. Many aspects of life are being impacted by population expansion. There are more people, which necessitates the creation of additional occupations. Additionally, the quality of life varies widely based on the population density and geographic location, as well as considerably. While individuals in one part of the world are starving to death, others are leading carefree lives, enjoying fine dining, travel, and affluent lifestyles. By dividing the population between two worlds, the problem of population overcrowding might be resolved. And at the same time, the gap in people's living standards would gradually narrow. They could bring the same expertise to Earth if they helped Mars populations become self-sufficient. People may cultivate their own food and run their own little farms, allowing them to focus on activities other than just surviving. Such riches would spark a huge explosion of innovation and fundamentally alter how people live their lives. Amazing things can happen to mankind as a result of Mars's colonization. The impact of Mars colonization on the economy and quality of life for people will become clear over time. Alright guys, that wraps up our video for today. If you enjoyed watching, please give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more.